Talk. I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I am your host, Mashuma Saba. All right. Saba. Peace. Stay tuned. And welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show. I am your host, Mashuma Saba. M. Saba. This is our Cultural Variety Podcast Show. How are you all doing today? It's everyone on this day of August 7th, 2023. Let me know. And as you chime on in, as you get ready to come on into our show tonight, just give me one moment. I need to walk away and turn this music off because I don't own the rights to it. And as soon as I do that, I'll be right back. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with a 30-second commercial break, and we'll be right back. How about that? Peace. We are back. And it is Monday night Coffee Talk Podcast. We call this the Cultural Studies Night. We also had it yesterday. So if you want to go back and check out any of our episodes for our Sunday and Monday night, go check that out. You know how our flavor is on Sunday and Monday nights, our alternate nights, known as our Cultural Study Nights. We like to give it to you from all different dynamics, such as we love to give props to our doctors, our lawyers, our scholars, our poets, our authors, our ancestors, our people. And that's what we do on Sunday and Monday nights. Excuse me. Fly hemp in here, and it's bothering me. It looks like a little gnat or some shit. All right, but greetings. Let me start there. And how y'all doing today? Go ahead and let me know how your day is. How is your evening going? You know, are you relieved from anything? Are you reflecting on anything? Are you happy that the day is over and it's starting to wind down and you get to be with your friends, your family? You know, give me a second. I don't like to be on camera sweating, but I had just shaved my hair a few minutes ago. So, you know, just want to make sure I look good for y'all, right? Right. All right. So tonight we got a great show lined up. We're going to go ahead and talk about boxing. That's right. We're going to go ahead and talk about boxing. Clarissa Fields is in the news along with Keith one-time Thurman. So we're going to discuss that. And then we're going to definitely jump into a short story of what we call our story. Our history, not his story. And we're also going to go into our wise words. So if you know anything about our show, we never start a show without giving you the flavor as well as its wise words. We are Coffee Talk Podcast, and that's how we do our show. But before I go into the show, too deep into the show, I want to say that everybody's talking about what happened in Alabama in the news. Got everybody's emotions running high as we start to get into the election seasons getting close. You know what I mean? And you know how that shit go. You know, how do I feel about Alabama, man? It looks beautiful. It's beautiful anytime my people can come together for a righteous cause, not an ignorant cause, but a righteous cause. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't take no victory from it because we've lost too many. So I don't let that excite me. But it is beautiful and it is about damn time. You know, you can't just be beating up on one of us anymore. We ain't having it. We're not having it. Did anybody see the show? I mean, not the show, but the incident that took place in Alabama? Go ahead and let me know. Leave it in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Excuse me. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our show for tonight. Our show for tonight. Okay, I'm sorry. We never start our show without giving you its flavor. So we're gonna go ahead and start there. And I do apologize. I'm all over the place right now. Just all over the place. But I'm gonna get myself together. All right, tonight's flavor is this. Tonight's flavor is basil tea. That's right, basil tea. Why is it basil tea? Tonight's flavor. Why? Because it helps lower blood sugar levels. It also assists with nausea and cramps and headaches and congestion and ingestion, as well as it relieves stress. And also, you just get to the relief stress part is the best part. You know what I mean? Because you just get to unwind like you are right now, listening to Coffee Talk Podcast. And so wherever you are, whatever you are sipping on, what are you sipping on? Go ahead and pour yourself something. Pour yourself some water, some wine, a smoothie, a coffee, a latte, a beer, whatever you do. But right now, in my city, it's about 82 degrees. So once you go out on the patio, the porch, whatever, your backyard, sip you some tea and just enjoy the rest of your evening. Is our wise words. And our wise words come from a rapper that hails out of Compton, California. He was born in July 2nd. He's a Cancer like me. And he was born July 2nd, 1993 in Compton, California. And this brother has a great mind. If you ever seen him speak on certain things, man, he has a great mind to be a young man. And tonight I want to use his wise words, and so I'm speaking of no other than Vince Staples. That's right, Vince Staples. And before I go into his wise words, can you please let me know if you are watching our show? Can you please let me know that you are here? Because I didn't hear our intro. And I think that's what threw me off a little bit tonight is I didn't hear the intro as it was coming in. Um, my app team is definitely need to fix that glitch, but that's what happened. So that kind of threw me off. But I'm here. But the wise words from Mr. Vince Staples. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Here's the wise words of Vince Staples. We still wading in the water. Cocaine blunts marinating in the water. Lean and took a puff, and then she gave it to my father. Used to take the bullets out so I could play with the revolver. Satan serenading ever since I was a toddler. Tell him talk is cheap. Niggas living for $1. Those are the wise words of Vince Staples. So let's go ahead and break down those wise words. Waddling in the water is like when you're in your mother's womb. for those 9 months. You in your mother's womb and you in that water. As you start to develop as a young man, you get caught up in the cocaine, the blunts, still marinating in the water. It's what your mother may be giving to you as a youth, I should say, as you're going into your older ages, you know. Um, Brothers sometimes lose themselves and they want to start playing with a revolver. The whole time they don't realize that the devil's surrounding them and serenading them to do more foolish things, to continue to glorify ignorant things and glorify death and negative energy. And this has been going on since they was a toddler. Now, anytime us people try to reach out and talk and uplift, some niggas don't even care to hear it because they only living for $1. That was Vince Staples, man. That's a nice uh few bars, as well as some wise words tonight. So again, Mr. Vince Staples, um, MC, we want to call him, out of Compton, California, born July 2nd, 1993. All right. If you want to know more about Mr. Vince Staples' discography, he does have six. Is that six? He has actually 7 albums that he has uh, brought out, starting with Summertime, which was in 2015, The Big Fish Theory in 2017, FM in the year 2018, Vince Staples 2021, Ramona Park, Broke My Heart 2022. So it looks like he actually has, my bad, he has 5 albums that he has released. So if you want to check that dude out and hear more dope poetry from an MC like that, man, check out Vince Staples. Today's Coffee Talk podcast, wise words and featured artists. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Clarissa Shields, undisputed champion in women's boxing at 154 pounds, has been calling out Keith One Time Thurman. And Keith Time Thurman is a former WBA champion in boxing. I want to say he had 2 belts at one time. Um, I can't recall who he lost to. I don't know if it was Danny Garcia or somebody took his belts. Uh, he's been inactive. He had one fight with uh, Manny Pacquiao, which he lost, and then he had uh, a fight where he was just trying to get together, one of them hand-picked fights to get your rhythm back. Yeah, one of those fights. He didn't really look too impressive. Well, he hasn't been fighting at a steady pace that most boxers fight within a year. Typically, they fight 2 years, sometimes 3 years, even if they're younger, still reaching for the payday. But this brother's averaging like one fight every 2.5 years, Mr. Keith Thurman. He was projected to fight Errol Spence back when Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford was having contract issues in negotiation. And that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence got their stuff together, and the rest is history. Keith Thurman hasn't had a fight, but he's been calling out such fighters such as Errol Spence, also undisputed champion Terrence Crawford. He's been calling these guys out. But in the boxing game, with so many boxers, so many camps aiming for titles and title opportunities, a former champion such as Keith Thurman usually would have a ticket to get a opportunity to fight one of the champions. When Keith Thurman was champion, he didn't issue opportunities to Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. And so both of those fighters are reluctant to fight Thurman and give him that shot. Well, because Keith Thurman has only been fighting at an average of one fight a year, one and a half fights a year, it's starting to look like, hey, you're getting up there in age, and possibly, you're looking for a money grab, meaning that you really don't care about the titles or nothing right now. You just want a big fight to get some money. You had a baby, a beautiful child. What, about 3 years ago, maybe? Got married. You've been inactive, and when you're inactive, you're not making no money. During COVID, you're not making no money. So he's trying to get back into the ring. I would love to see Keith Thurman compete. I still think that he's a great fighter, former champion, hits hard, puts on a good show. He's a showman. He has power in either hand. He still can move around the ring. He's just been inactive. So, what's going on right now is you have a boxer, Clarissa Fields, who wants to, not only is she the greatest female boxer of this era, she says of all time, I say of this era, she has been calling out Keith Thurman and she would like to fight Keith Thurman. At one point, she was talking seriously, saying that she can take him. She wants this fight so bad that she has said, you know what, we could do it for charity. Or Keith Thurman proposed that. But I want to break this down. In sports and entertainment, you rarely have a manager or someone that can help guide you on your boxing path. Typically, you are given a manager that is other than your culture in entertainment and boxing. You rarely see anybody from your culture that is representing you in sports. I mean, Terrell Owens had some sisters as their managers, but that's a bad story because they took a lot of his money. And then you have LeBron James, homeboy, who's doing great. I forgot his name. Forgive me. Put it in the comments if you know it. But he's like a top super agent right now. And so you rarely see that. Typically, you have somebody, if you're going into entertainment, if you're going into boxing, they hand you a manager that don't look like you. Lots of times does not have your best interest. Lots of times is attached to the labels or the TV production companies and directors and blah, 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 blah. Why am I even talking about this? I'm talking about this because I don't like it. I don't like it. Why don't I like it? Because it's a lose-lose situation for a guy like Keith Thurman. One, Keith Thurman, you've already been inactive for a while. So it looks like if you accept this fight, you're doing it for money. Yeah, you can say charity, whatever. People say that all the time. Maybe you'll give a percentage. But the realities is two things I see here. If she beats you up, especially in this today's climate, and it looks like the man is falling to the woman. Now, I'm not saying that to start any gender fights here. I'm just telling you from the bigger picture. They already trying to emasculate the black males. So Keith Thurman, you have some type of manager that's in your ear saying, hey, this will be great. Clarissa Shields, you have some manager in your ear saying, hey, this would be great. And neither one of you are really looking at this from the big picture. You're looking at it from a money standpoint. And that alone is going to be the reason why it fails. Keith Thurman, if you lose, not only if you lose, they're going to talk about you. If you lose, you might not even get an opportunity at getting a championship fight because people don't care if it's a charity event, especially if she's coming at you aggressively and you have to really show um some boxing. Now Keith Thurman has stated that he would only fight with one hand, but she doesn't want that. She's an athlete. You don't want no handouts. She wants to spar at least. And in sparring, people can get knocked out. It can get rough, physical. So say you lose that fight. There goes your championship opportunities, or at least a fight against another top contender. She gets boosted with high self-esteem, but being that she's a black woman, it might only be 5 minutes of fame. Because typically, in the eyes of men who mainly are the majority of the people who watch sports, they're gonna check her out for a minute, but then they're gonna move on. Their attention span for women doing physical combat sports is, you know, not that long. Now, unless you're in the MMA, that might be a little different. Got some great women fighters over there. Shields even fought in mixed martial arts. But again, this is boxing. Let's flip it on the other side. Let's say Keith Thurman, you get some good blows in. Now, I understand she might wear headgear. I think that's part of the negotiation. So she wears headgear. You get to popping her around, hitting her with some hooks, some jabs. You know, next thing you know, you beat her. What happens next? How do you win from that? Because right away, being a black man fighting a woman doesn't look good. Not during this climate. At the tail end, but we're still in this climate of the Me Too movements, the cancel cultures. And you mean to tell me you go ahead and beat this woman? Where are you going to win? It might turn you into the laughing stock. It might even make you become one of the most hated. So I'm questioning who is in your ear telling you that this would be a good idea. Clarissa Shields, are you part of the puppetry? Why do I ask that? I asked that, Queen, because why would you want to get into a boxing match with any man in this climate? For the same reasons. Why do you want the image of you beating up a man? How do you win by that? You beating up Keith Thurman in a gender boxing match, how do you win? If anything, it's a sellout situation because you're going to get praise, but at the same time, the visual is going to spark our children to where men are being emasculated. Men cannot be tough anymore. That's not to say women can't beat up men. But just that dynamic alone, you boxing a man, and the man shouldn't be fighting you anyway, just looks ignorant. And that's why you guys are pushing. I want to be for charity. It'll be for charity. It'll be ignorant. I don't care how much money you plan on giving charity. It would be ignorant. What is y'all's thoughts on this? What is y'all's thoughts on Keith Thurman fighting Clarissa Shields in a boxing match, a gender boxing match at the 154-pound weight division? What's your thoughts on that? Go ahead and leave that in the comment. While you're there, go ahead and hit the like button. Share this video, of course. And if you're watching us on YouTube Live or YouTube or Facebook Live, make sure you subscribe. Let us know that you're part of a Coffee Talk podcast, and so you can be notified when our shows are programmed. Definitely do that for us. And as you can see, my backdrop is hip hop, 50 years of hip hop. So, we've been just definitely paying homage to our culture, to hip hop. That's what we've been doing. All right. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with another 30-second commercial break. And when I get back, we will be having our short story like we always do. It will be one of our stories. This is Coffee Talk Podcast, a cultural variety podcast show. And you already know who it is. It's your boy, Mashum Saba. M. Saba. This is the Cultural Variety Podcast. I'll see you in about 30 seconds. Welcome back to Coffee Talk Podcast. This is the Cultural Variety Podcast show, and this is our second segment of the show. Tonight, we're going to do a book reading. I'm sorry. And the title of this book, or this story, I should say, I'm sorry. I'm just everywhere. Hopefully, we can edit all this out. But tonight, we're going to read a short story. It's called Why the Chameleon Shakes His Head. Why the Chameleon Shakes His Head. It's a very short story. And this is what we have for Coffee Talk Podcast. Let's begin. In many parts of Africa, the dog, though used for hunting, is not treated as a worthy helper, but is left to scrounge around the village for scraps to eat or bones to grawn on. This tale from the northern Rhodesia shows how selfish and ungrateful man can be. This is the story of why the chameleon shakes his head. Let's begin. The dog and the chameleon were friends. One day, the hunter was returning from hunting game, and the dog was trotting behind. The chameleon called to him, "Where are you going, and why do you trot at the hunter's heels?" The dog said, "The man and I are partners. We go hunting together. I catch game for him. He kills the animals for meat, and we share together." chameleon said, "Is this really true? I do not know no man shared meat this way." "It is true," said the dog. "When the food is cooked, each of us takes what he needs." The dog followed behind the hunter, and the chameleon followed the dog. When they arrived at the village, the hunter's wife cooked the meat. When it was cooked, she put some in a bowl and set it on the ground by her husband. The man took some and put it in his mouth. Then the dog trotted up and took some food from the bowl. The chameleon said, "It is true. They share the food." Just then, the hunter picked up a large stick and hit the dog in the head, making him drop the meat. The dog left out a surprised yelp and ran into the bush. The chameleon was so shocked by what he had seen that he went away shaking his head, saying, "It is unbelievable. The dog and his faithful friend. He helps him catch meat, yet the hunter struck him in the head. Unbelievable. Man is a selfish ingrate. I will not live near man. I will live in the bush." The chameleon went into the bush and stayed away from man. And whenever he thinks about how the hunter struck the dog for taking a piece of meat, he moves his head up and down as to say, "It is unbelievable." That is our Coffee Talk Podcast short story, Our Story. Why the chameleon shakes his head. So that concludes our Monday night cultural studies night here at Coffee Talk Podcast. Again, as I stated, we love to give you flavor here. You know what I'm saying? And our culture is so big that we want to make sure that we are encouraging reading. We want to make sure that we are encouraging enlightenment and empowerment. We want to make sure that we are encouraging and honoring and paying homage to our doctors, our lawyers, our scholars, our authors, our ancestors, our poets, our people. So until next time, I'll see y'all next week for Cultural Studies Night. I say peace to y'all. And then, other than that, I will see y'all this Wednesday for Coffee Talk Podcast Sports. This is Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast Show. Until next time, peace.